So in this segment, we're going to be talking about an article in the Byline Times which talks about the cost of Brexit. Around 70% of people in the UK blame Brexit for price increases. At least 70% of people polled. So 7 in 10 voters believe that life in the UK has become more expensive because of Brexit, according to an exclusive new poll for the Byline Times. And of course, it's important to remember we're not doing full checks on EU imports, but the simple fact is we are doing customs. So anyone who wants to import goods into the UK has to pay things like customs fees, which can be quite significant and a pain. I know that firsthand. The poll conducted by pollsters Omnisis, which I've not heard of them, found that 67% of British voters surveyed think that leaving the EU has driven up prices, just short of 7 in 10. 67% still a decent amount of people. Brexit supporters have predicted that leaving the EU would lead to prices dropping in the UK. Now they'll argue about the war in Ukraine and COVID, etc. But when it comes to the border, just customs fees alone have kicked up prices fairly dramatically. It's a key problem. Johnson promised that leaving the EU would cause energy prices to fall. Now we know there's global energy price rises, but us being outside of the EU doesn't help that, especially when we're outside of the EU's internal energy market, which means that we're more vulnerable to price fluctuations, and the fact that the government sold off our gas storage. Now currently the biggest storage of gas in this country is Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and can't use him to fuel the country, can we? Look how bad it's gone already. Well, a 2016 report by the right-wing think tank, the Institute for Economic Affairs, predicted food costs would also tumble after Brexit. That was probably after the assumption that we would just lower tariffs on foods, or we'd just get like crazy trade deals or something. Today's poll finds that just 5% of voters believe that leaving the EU has driven down the cost of living. Now, I want to meet this 5%, and I have so many questions for them. If you're one of the 5% who somehow stumbled onto this video, please write a comment, and I want to talk to you. I want you to explain how Brexit has made the cost of living lower. Please contact me somehow. This perception is backed up by an academic study earlier this year, which found that Brexit has in fact increased food prices by 6% across the UK, and it's just madness, because it's not just the actual the finished goods that go up in price. It's the ingredients as well, and we import a lot of ingredients. The UK doesn't, for certain farmed goods, we need to import a lot. Also, the fact that farmers are struggling to actually pick out the ingredients and the fruits and other things from the fields. So that means we have to import more, which again gets hit with customs duties, etc., and increased delivery fees. So it's just wild that certain people don't realise how bad being out the customs union is. The London School of Economics study found that the increase in import costs from the EU has led to a spike in the cost of many common supermarket goods. The reasons for these price increases is straightforward. The report found, adding that additional barriers at the border, such as checks, increased waiting times, and additional paperwork, are costly for producers. Now, the UK, I don't think we're doing physical inspections, but there still are checks for paperwork, and there are still things like customs, etc., which add to the import costs essentially. And who pays that? Ultimately, it's the consumer. 64% of those polled said that Brexit has been negative for the country, compared to just 36% that had been positive. And again, they don't have a link to this poll, which is really annoying, because I don't know if they have a don't know option, which you do need for polls. Around a third, 34% of former Leave voters agreed that leaving the EU has been negative for the country overall, but they knew what they voted for, right? To control immigration, because that's all they have. 55% of those surveyed said that they would vote to rejoin the European Union on similar terms to which the UK left. And again, that's never going to happen. We will never get back what we lost with Brexit in terms of our rebates and things like that we had whilst we were EU members. We'll never get those back, compared to 45% who said they would not. And that's quite annoying that 45% of people wouldn't want to rejoin based on the terms that we had, considering we're not going to get that back. So it's still quite close to people not wanting to rejoin. Just because they're not happy with the way Brexit is going doesn't mean they want to rejoin. Doesn't mean they want to rejoin the EU. That's a key thing people need to understand. Best for Britain Chief Executive Naomi Smith told the Byline Times they know Brexit has increased costs for businesses, and now that's being felt by consumers that are already squeezed badly by the cost of living. And again, it's one of those things where just because things are bad doesn't mean people want to change things. If we look at how bad the last decade has been with the Tories, they won 3 general they won one in 2015. They lost the one with Theresa May, really, that coalition government with the DUP. and then obviously Boris Johnson won a stonking majority. So you can tell that just because things are bad doesn't mean that people want things to change, especially in Britain where people would tolerate, rubbish, badness, essentially. It's not even a word, but, ineptitude for a long time without changing anything, especially if you look like you're working hard. Look at how English people watch football, man. It's wild. If you look like you run around a lot, they love you. If you're technically gifted and don't run around a lot, they don't like you. But that's kind of, maybe that's a bit of an unfair thing to say. But you can see from this, just because Brexit has driven up the prices, people can acknowledge that there are still significant people who wouldn't want to rejoin the EU based on the terms we had previously. But anyways, look, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. And support the Byline Times if you can.